Welcome back to this tutorial on financial modeling using Kaluta projection methodology. Last time we ended up with modeling of debtors, creditors, and rent payment, advance rent. Let me recap on rent part because I think I need to explain more. As I said, the formula for deriving closing balance on rental here is, if I click on the formula bar at the end so that to see what it has picked. So we see it is B34, that is opening balance, minus B35, that is monthly rent accrued, minus B36, that is cash paid as advance rent, and we get closing balance, that is the balance for advance rental payment that is not yet utilized. Okay, so I said I use negative. Let us see why did I use minus in my formula. Okay, to start, let us look at February 22, where the advance payment was done. I have put the figure in negative. As you can see, the red color means negative. Why did I put it in negative advance payment? The formula explains why. If you click at the end of the closing balance here, you will see the formula has taken opening balance C34 minus rent. Rent is 0 at this time on February, minus cash paid. Cash paid is negative, so when you minus, it turns out to be positive. That's why we have the closing balance of advance payment in February to be a positive figure. And as I said, the monthly rent starts to accrue on March. So the whole amount we have paid in February is advance rental. Now in the month of March, 500,000, that is monthly rental, is accrued, is expensed. So from our balance of 6,050,000, we less accrue for the month according to the formula. Now this formula we have applied. We take the opening balance minus accrual for the month, so we have reduced monthly accrual from the advance rate of payment, minus cash paid. In this case, there is no advance cash paid, so the closing balance now becomes advance rental payment that is not yet expensed. So that is the logic of using the formula that has derived closing balance for rental payment. And so you can see the advance rental keeps on decreasing monthly by 500,000 until it reaches December. This is February. Here February is the last portion of 500,000, but because there is an inflation adjustment of 5%, so it has increased to 525. Okay, so in February again we have cash paid, and the cycle repeats itself. So this is the explanation I wanted to give before we proceed. Now let us proceed to modeling of the overdraft. Thus far, let us go to the balance sheet. Thus far, we have modeled balance sheet. Let me arrange this, format these in the negative numbers should be red, so that we see what I'm talking about. Then go to this option, negative number should be in this format. Okay, now I didn't start it from here. Let me repeat again. Okay, just for these two number in. Okay, so you see the cash balance in the month of January, February, March, April, May up to June is negative. Okay, this is not the way we present cash balance in the balance sheet. A negative cash, that means your inflows are less than your outflows. We have not yet started to model the capital for this project. What is the capital needed to be injected in this project? We will do it later. Right now, I want to apply the accounting principle that recognize the fact that when you have a negative cash, that means your inflows are less than outflows, then what you need is a bank overdraft to support that excess cash requirement. So we are going to model the bank overdraft on the balance sheet side, so that we don't have the negative numbers here in cash. Okay, so to do that, I click on the cash for January here. So I have to use an if formula here. So let me edit this to go to and let me remove this one. So I start with if function. Oh, sorry. I don't know what I've done. So save changes. What did I do? Save changes. Sorry. Let me go back again to so I was here and I said we are going to use if formula. So I type if, and then I open the bracket and then go to cash flow, pick the the closing balance in January 2022, the first month. So I click on this. So if in bracket CFB34, that is closing balance for cash in the first month in January, in the first month of our projections. So if this figure, let me go to this one. If this figure is less or equal to 0, that means it is a negative figure. Then I put comma. Then the answer should be 0. You should not report the negative figure, but report 0. Otherwise, then I put comma. Otherwise, put this figure. So otherwise should be this figure. Okay? And then I close the bracket. I close the bracket, I check it, or I enter. Okay? So that formula explains why. Explain that if the balance, the cash balance is negative, it should not be picked here, and instead only 0 should be inserted here. So I just feel this to be true throughout my projection periods. For my projection period. Of course, my balance sheet is not balancing right now. If we go to the check, because of this change, because I have to finish the modeling on the liability side also, because that is the bank overdraft. So the bank OD, let us put it here. Bank OD. So bank OD, overdraft. We put the formula now here. If formula again. So we start with equal sign, and then let's go to this typing pad. If, open brackets, if we go to cash flow again, if this balance in January 2022, first we say, in the cash side we say if it is less or equal to. So to complete the continuum of the function, we say if this figure is greater than, this in this case now it is greater than, if this figure is greater than 0, then I put comma. If it's greater than 0, then pick this figure. I click on this. Otherwise, so at the end here I put comma. Otherwise, that means if it is not greater than 0, sorry, instead of pick this figure, here it should be negative number here, because we are, so we should start with negative number, sorry. So if cash flow B34 is greater than 0, that means it is positive. Then in the bank overdraft side, you should insert 0. Otherwise, you should insert this figure, but because this figure is negative, then we should start with negative number, and then we select this figure, so that this figure turns out to be positive when we report it in balance sheet at bank overdraft statement. Okay, so if C is greater than 0, if end balance is greater than 0, put 0. Otherwise, put this one. Okay, so this comma at the end is not needed because we are done with our, and then we close this bracket and then we enter to accept that. Oh, there is a problem. False. Let me repeat again. Let me repeat that formula by start by equal sign if if open bracket, go to cash flow, if this figure is greater than 0, then in the overdraft put 0. Otherwise, then in the overdraft put, start with negative and then this figure, and then close the bracket and then enter. Okay, so now I can drag this. I can drag this to fill this to the end of the projection period. Okay, so we are now done. In the cash flow, we don't have negative numbers. When the cash inflows are less than cash outflows, we have 0 for the cash, and when it's greater than, we have a positive figure here. And when we have 0 for the cash, we will be having bank overdraft figure. That is the shortfall. Okay, and when we start a positive cash flow, the bank overdraft is 0. Okay, so this is how you model bank overdraft requirements. And as you know, in the business, it is best practice to do budgeting that will tell in which specific point in time you will be in need of bank overdraft to support your cash flow when the cash inflows are less than cash outflow. Because there are times when your projected inflows becomes less than projected outflows, and you need bank overdraft to support that short-term liquidity. You know, the capital injection and the loans are for the long-term duration coverage of the cash shortfall requirements. But for the short-term period, you need bank overdraft injection. Okay, and this is why this modeling way that I'm using is the best projection methodology, because it takes into cognizance the fact that you can model, or the fact that you need to consider the cash flow requirements on monthly basis, or even with this business model you can even do on daily basis. It's very simple, as you see. Even on daily basis you can project on daily basis. So that way you will manage your exact cash flow requirements and expectations. Okay, so after saying that, so we have already modeled our bank overdraft and our cash now is balanced. So let us proceed with modeling for accruals. Okay, so let's see in the balance in the profit and loss statement here which elements falls under accrual. Let us assume that electricity, water, and sewage. Let us assume that you use electricity this month. You at the end of the month you get a bill and you pay it in the next month. Okay, so the same assumption we will do for water and for sewage services. Okay, so we are going to workings here and then put we said electricity so we start with opening balance. We are modeling for accrual here. Opening balance, and then we add electricity for the month. Electricity charges for the month, and then there is cash paid, and then we have closing balance. Closing balance. Okay, so electricity, we pick these monthly electricity charges from the profit and loss account. So I put an equal sign, go to profit and loss account, and then pick for electricity in January, column here where we start, then enter, and then I can drag this to fill this throughout our projection period. And then cash paid, as I said, the electricity consumed in this month, in the previous month, will be paid in this month. So I put an equal sign in February and pick the figure for, but before I pick, let me start with negative, because cash paid is drawing out cash out of business. So I start with negative and then pick electricity for the previous month, that is January, and then enter. And this formula is going to be true throughout, so I just fill this to the rest of our projection period. Okay, then we go to the closing balance area. Now closing balance will be the opening balance plus electricity minus cash paid. Of course it's already in negative here, so closing balance is just the summation of all these. Let me put 0 on top here so that our summation formula can pick all. Check. So this is the formula that covers opening balance, add electricity, add cash paid, because we add cash paid because it is already negative. So this formula is also true for the rest, so I'm dragging it till the end of our projection period. Okay, and then the last thing is on opening balance for February is equal to closing balance for January. Okay, I put the formula there and then I drag this to the end. So that is the modeling for electricity. And we can now incorporate this modeling into our financials. Go to the cash flow here on electricity. Now, instead of picking our electricity from profit and loss sheet as we did when we started this, we're now going to pick it from our working side. So I start with let me remove this, and then I start with negative number, and because payment of electricity there is already in negative, so I'm not starting with a negative number here because it's already taken there as a negative. So I just put an equal sign and then click on workings, and then go to click on cash paid for January here, and then enter. So I fill this to the rest of our projection period. Okay, now after doing that, our balance sheet will not balance up to now. If we go to the check, you see we have a figure there that is not balancing, and this is because we now in the current liabilities section we need to add accrual for electricity. Okay, so let's put it below bank OD. Let's put it below bank OD. So I insert row below bank OD in order to accommodate accruals. So I edit this and then go to this typing pad, accruals. Okay, so for the moment we have accrual for electricity. Let me put here and then put a line item here called accruals, because I will add different accruals in one place to pick them to our balance sheet figure. So the first one is closing balance for electricity. So I put equal sign and place electricity closing balance, enter, and we will add others as we establish them. So fill this to the rest of the projection period. Okay, then after that I go to my balance sheet and pick accrual here in January. So I put equal sign, click on workings, and then pick this figure for accrual here in January, enter, and then drag this, fill this to the rest of the projection period. Okay, so after doing that, my it's not balancing yet. There must be something here in accrual area. I've inserted accrual, but I think they have not. Yes, the formula here was only to take creditors and bank overdraft into total current liability. So I have to change it. Let us use a summation formula here. Summation, auto sum, enter, so that it sums all. So I fill this to the rest, total current liabilities. Yeah, so after that you can say my check below here has balance. I have 0 0 zeros. So my accounts have balanced thus far. Let us proceed with we were done with electricity. Now let us introduce here, the next one was water. So water, and let me insert some sheet rows here. Insert rows so that we can now, because this structure of electricity modeling is going to be the same with water modeling, so I can click on the opening balance here and then highlight all this area until the end. Up to here, and then use copy this, and then click down on water area and then paste. Okay, so I have just done the same what was done, and what I need to change here is only electricity. I will type it to be water, edit to be water, and here instead of P&L B16, relative references, when I copied and pasted it, relative references applied, and Excel went to pick the relevant cell that is supposed to be here. So I change I change. Okay, I write electricity. What this one should be? Electricity was supposed to be removed here in explanation. So I remove this to remain with water. So I'm changing the formula here. Put an equal sign and go to P&L and pick for water figure in January. That is here. And then enter. So we take our figures in profit and loss, and I just fill this now. Once I'm done with filling this line item, then the rest of computations will be automatically reflected, because the rest of the cells are populated with formulas from electricity component above. So you can see the changes here. It reflects the water cases. And after that, then I can go to cash flow in the water section here, change the formula from P&L and pick it. So I start with equal sign and click on workings, and then cash page for January here, and then enter, and then just fill this to the rest of projection periods. Okay, then my balance sheet will not be balanced up to now. If we go to check, I mean balance sheet here, if we go to check, it has balanced. Why? There must be something. Let me check. In the cash flow, I have already reflected the changes in water. Okay, so the changes have already been reflected in water, and in workings here, my accrual figure still has a balance for electricity. It has not added the balance for water, because the water also was supposed to be added. So what is not happening, that this fact is not captured in my balance sheet? Accrual only 80 here, while accrual was supposed, let me do it. My accrual now, okay, if I go back to workings here, my accrual is supposed to be C43 for water plus this balance for electricity plus this balance for water. Enter. Okay, so that is supposed to be my accrual now, has two components, and let me fill this to the rest. So that is my accrual figure now. So let me see in balance sheet what happened. So there is this difference for 30, and 30 is a component for, in the workings here, 30 is a component for closing balance for water. And this one, if I go to balance sheet again and look at accruals, it has picked workings B58. Maybe I should look at total current liability formula here. It has captured all up to B22, and this okay up to here. Okay, now in the profit and loss, water, let me go to January. In the in the cash flow, in the cash flow, water, what formula do I have here for water? Workings C48. Here was workings B42. Electricity, workings B42. And here I have workings C. Here is where, okay, so let me put equal sign in the water area, go to workings, and in the cash paid for the water, it should be here from B48, press enter, and then drag this, fill this to the rest of. So this was the problem. I did not adjust for cash flow on water after changes of the assumptions. Okay, I was supposed to pick my cash flow for water from workings on water we have just introduced, but it was still with the old figure. So if I go to balance sheet now, I check it is balanced. Okay, so we are done with water, and we said we should do the same for sewage. So I can just copy the same principles again. I just select all this water section, water component, and then I copy this and then come here and paste, and instead of water, now I type here sewage. I type sewage, opening balance, and then instead of water we have sewage, cash paid and closing balance. Okay, so for sewage we change the formula here. We go to pick the sewage component from, so I start with equal sign and go to P&L here and pick for sewage January here, enter, and fill this to the rest of our projection periods. Okay, so after doing that, the rest of computations will be okay, because the rest of the cells here are populated by formulas, and it has taken into consideration the sewage situation. So what remains right now is simply to go to cash flow, change here in the sewage sections January. I change formula. Instead of picking from a profit and loss sheet as earlier, I put an equal sign here and then go to workings and pick cash paid here starting from January, cash paid here on sewage area, enter, and then drag this formula to the end. I drag this, okay. So after doing that, my balance sheet would not balance yet, as you can see in the check, because I have not added this sewage component on the total accruals here. So I click on this formula for accruals, I mean in the working side here, in the working sheet. Why is it picking only? Okay. Okay, let me start here. So the formula now should include, I put an equal sign, should include closing balance for electricity plus closing balance for water plus closing balance for sewage. Okay, let me fill this to the rest. So after doing this, then my balance sheet should balance, because the accrual component in balance sheet will be taking all the accrual components we have modeled thus far. So if I go to my balance sheet, on the check is 0. Okay, so let's see in the profit and loss what other item that we need to accrue. Auditor's fee. Okay, in this case, auditor's fee. So let me go back to workings and insert some rows here to accommodate modeling for auditor's fee. So I highlight and then insert sheet rows, and then the auditor's fee will have different modeling comparing to water, sewage, electricity. So I'm going to model it separately. So I start with auditors, fees. So we start with opening balance, and then auditor's fees, auditor's fees, and then cash paid, and then closing balance. Again, auditor's fee component, we pick it from profit and loss account. So I put an equal sign, go to profit and loss, and then in January, auditor's component here, we did provisioning for 100,000 shillings each month. So I put enter here and then fill this formula to the rest of our projection period. Okay, then after doing that, let us modeling the cash paid for auditors. As the auditors will normally come to audit the accounts on annual basis. So for the books starting January 22, the full year ends in December 2022, and from January, this is the time the business will start to prepare its annual accounts so that the auditor can come and audit on them, and say January and February. So let's assume that the auditor will come in March to finalize the auditing of the accounts. And let us assume that the auditor will be paid first. When he arrives in March, he is paid 50% of the fees, and after he finishes the job, and let us assume we will finish it in April, he is paid the remaining 50%. Okay, so here in March we will put a formula to accommodate the cash paid now. Put equal sign, and because it's a cash paid, it's a negative, we start with a negative number. So basically in March it will be paid for 6 months, half 50%. So it's January minus, I use minus because the end figure needs to be negative. So I started with minus and then minus. This is first month, this is second, minus third, minus fourth, minus fifth, minus sixth. So check or enter. So in March, he will be paid 600,000. He will start a job, and in April, he will be paid the remaining 50%. So just put equal sign and then pick this figure for March, and then enter. Okay. So this is how the payment pattern will be, and this pattern will repeat itself each year. On March and April, that is the time when the auditor is paid. So I just select these two items here, copy the formula here, and go to March go to March. Sorry, let me go through this way. March here, and then I just paste the formula, go again to March again is here, March here, and then paste again and go again to March. Do we still have another March left? December, January, February, March. This is at the end. Okay, let's put it here and finish. Paste. Okay, so that was the end portion. So after doing that, then we come to model closing balance. Closing balance will be opening balance of the audit fees plus audit fees for the month minus cash paid, then we get closing balance of the accrual. Okay, so because the cash paid is put in negative already, so what we are doing is simply summation as we did previously. So let me put 0 here in audit balance so that when I use a summation formula it will sum from there. So click on summation, auto sum, and then enter or check on top to accept it, and then I just fill this to the rest of projecting period. Let me take this one to finish up to here. This is where we are interested. This figure, we don't need this. Okay, we don't need it because it is out of, I can simply, it's out of our projection. I can simply delete this, edit, and then no, it's not a matter of editing, it's just clear this one. So let us now go back, finishing our modeling by putting opening balance in February here, put equal sign, which is the closing balance for January, and then press enter, and then drag this, fill this to the rest of projection periods. Where did I go? Oh, it has not been taken. So let me fill it again. Okay, up to there. Let me select these and delete, clear, they are not needed. So this is how our modeling for auditor's fee. Now we are going to accommodate this modeling. What is this one? Why this? We have this figure. Let me delete this first, and then let me see if everything is okay. Opening balance, auditor's fees, cash paid, and what is the formula here? It has covered since there. Okay, so it's fine. Now let us incorporate these figures into our financials. Let us start on cash flow. Cash flow here for auditor's fees in January. we put an we start with an equal sign. We change this, so we go with the new modeling. Equal to, go to working, and then auditor's fee cash paid is in January is here. Okay, and I just pick without starting with negative sign because cash paid here have already been modeled to be negative. So I enter and then fill this to the rest of projecting horizon. Up to here. Okay, and after that, now you can see it, instead of our cash flow being populated with monthly figures of paying for auditors' fees, is now trying to accurately mimic the real world situation where the auditors' payments will be done according to the assumptions we have done here relating to the payment for the auditor. And after doing that, then my balance sheet would not balance yet because of that change. And what I need to do is, on working side, on the accrual now here, on the total for accrual, I should add closing balance for auditor's fee. So plus this closing balance for auditor's fees, enter, and then drag this formula to the rest, fill this to the rest, and after that then my balance sheet should balance. If not, then there must be something wrong, which I will have to establish what is that. Let me clear this last one. I don't need this. Clear this. Okay, so let us go back to our balance sheet and see if check. Yeah, so our balance sheet has balance. As you can see, the check is 000. Okay, so far we have now established the modeling for overdraft that has cleared our negative cash numbers in our balance sheet, and we have modeled for accruals, bank overdraft. So this is the end of this presentation. We will proceed with more features in the next tutorial. Thanks for listening and being with me. Welcome back to future presentations. Bye for now.